wanted to explain the world. It was not easy. It is not only that our predecessors did not know what we know about the world. More important, they did not have anything like our ideas of what there was to know about the world and how to learn it. Again and again, in preparing the lectures for my course, I have been impressed with how different the work of science in past centuries was from the science of my own times. As the much-quoted lines of a novel of L.P. Hartley put it, "The past is a foreign country. They do things differently there." I hope that in this book I have been able to give the listener not only an idea of what happened in the history of the exact sciences, but also a sense of how hard it has all been. So this book is not solely about how we came to learn various things about the world. That is naturally a concern of any history of science. My focus in this book is a little different. It is how we came to learn how to learn about the world. I am not unaware that the word explain in the title of this book raises problems for philosophers of science. They have pointed out the difficulty in drawing a precise distinction between explanation and description. I will have a little to say about this in Chapter 8. But this is a work on the history rather than the philosophy of science. By explanation, I mean something admittedly imprecise, the same as is meant in ordinary life when we try to explain why a horse has won a race or why an airplane has crashed. The word discovery in the subtitle is also problematic. I had thought of using the invention of modern science as a subtitle. After all, science could hardly exist without human beings to practice it. I chose discovery instead of invention to suggest that science is the way it is, not so much because of various adventitious historic acts of invention, but because of the way nature is. With all its imperfections, modern science is a technique that is sufficiently well tuned to nature so that it works. It is a practice that allows us to learn reliable things about the world. In this sense, it is a technique that was waiting for people to discover it. Thus, one can talk about the discovery of science in the way that a historian can talk about the discovery of agriculture. With all its variety and imperfections, agriculture is the way it is because its practices are sufficiently well tuned to the realities of biology so that it works. It allows us to grow food. I also wanted, with this subtitle, to distance myself from the few remaining social constructivists, those sociologists, philosophers, and historians who try to explain not only the process, but even the results of science as products of a particular cultural milieu. Among the branches of science, this book will emphasize physics and astronomy. It was in physics, especially as applied to astronomy, that science first took a modern form. Of course, there are limits to the extent to which sciences like biology, whose principles depend so much on historical accidents, can or should be modeled on physics. Nevertheless, there is a sense in which the development of scientific biology, as well as chemistry, in the 19th and 20th centuries, followed the model of the revolution in physics of the 17th century. Science is now international, perhaps the most international aspect of our civilization. But the discovery of modern science happened in what may loosely be called the West. Modern science learned its methods from research done in Europe during the scientific revolution, which in turn evolved from work done in Europe and in Arab countries during the Middle Ages, and ultimately from the precocious science of the Greeks. The West borrowed much scientific knowledge from elsewhere: geometry from Egypt, astronomical data from Babylon, the techniques of arithmetic from Babylon and India, the magnetic compass from China, and so on. But as far as I know, it did not import the methods of modern science. So this book will emphasize the West, including medieval Islam, in just the way that was deplored by Oswald Spengler and Arnold Toynbee.